Morning, welcome to everyone here to this online panel, the next era, era of retention, moving beyond CPI to value-driven mobile growth. I'm here, I'm going to be today's moderator. I'm Federico, Senior Sales Manager CTV at Addictive. For those who are not familiar with Addictive, it is a DSP focused on user acquisition CTV and mobile retargeting. So helping apps bringing users back and value and getting more value out of them, which fits quite well today. Today we're going to discuss. Together with me, we have Sam Ganja from Love Mobile Agency. Sam, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Sam, owner and sales director at Love Mobile. We focus on helping apps grow through organic discovery in the app stores.
Thank you, Sam. Then we have Freya Fine from eFine. Freya.
Hi, good morning. I'm Freya. I'm the founder of Fine, and we help mission and purpose-driven apps grow.
Also, we have Çağatay Göker from Social Peta. Çağatay, stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Çağatay. I'm the key account manager at Social Peta. So I'm happy to and thrilled to share actionable insights from our reports today.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Maxim Melnik from Rad ASO.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, guys. I'm head of SO at Red SO. We are a mobile app marketing agency focused on app store optimization and user acquisition and retention also.
That's great. Thank you so much for the introduction. So before running into the core of the panel, I wanted to briefly introduce today's topic. As we all know, today we are going to talk about something that is getting more and more important in the market, which is retention. While ISTLs and CPI are still very common metrics, very important ones, but they don't always show the real value of a user. So in this session, we are going to explore how marketers can focus on long-term engagement to turn their community into loyal users. Ready for it? Then let's go. First, I have a question that I would like to hear everyone's point of view on, which is, looking at the market today, what's the main challenge for apps when it comes to retention and long-term engagement? I will ask Freya first because I have you on the top left of my screen. Go for it.
Perfect. So the main issue in a broader perspective is that when the fascination moved from installs to retention, everybody jumped, at least from what I was seeing, to the product. So they started tinkering with their apps, trying to make updates, looking at their onboarding flows, everything inside the app. From my perspective, where I see the potential and where people are struggling is with before that. So when people started looking at retention, actually retention became an acquisition problem as well. And the default was often to look at the product. So we've seen this across multiple things, but really it's like looking at your holistic acquisition, talking to your users. And one of the things that we look at is the 30-day CPI. So whilst an install is fantastic, really like a 30-day CPI is a fantastic benchmark, broadly speaking, back of the napkin maths. And then from my area of expertise, which is influencer marketing, so many issues with this industry, especially with apps. The first one is, massively, it's a huge time drainer for teams, especially with teams that don't have the expertise. But also there's a huge lack of transparency. So you're working with a group of creators, maybe with an agency or a partner. You have no idea how much that creator cost. So when you have a viral video or a moment where you start to gather installs for your app, you have no idea what your cost per install even is. So that's where, we prefer to work on an area of transparency. And then we also see throughout this influencer marketing and creator industry is a lot of cheap and dirty tactics with an obsession for virality. So an example of this would be brands are setting up accounts where creators are posting 3, 4, 5 times a day, just with the goal of going viral. We've seen on our side, virality can equal thousands upon thousands of installs, which is fantastic. But then the question really comes of how do you utilize them and how do you save them? And then also the last problem that we see is creator selection. So choosing influencers that are non-authentic to you. It is really common within the industry that a creator will just work with you for the money, unfortunately. And so you need to be, careful and mindful of that. So that's kind of how I see it from a broader perspective.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much for your point of view, Freya. And Maxim, what's your idea for the product, for the problem?
Well, okay. The main challenge, maybe it's AI. What do I mean? You know that over the past maybe 2 years, 3 years, we have already started to see declines in demand in some apps areas because of AI tools. Because AI tools can now cover the same user intent. For example, we saw that we have already had an impact on several areas in the health and fitness category. I mean, areas like workout plans, nutrition, or habit recommendations can now be just generated instantly by AI assistants. So when the same functions become available directly through AI, user demand for apps starts to decrease, and also it affects marketing investments, acquisition spend, and user retention. But to be fair, this kind of circle of life has always existed in the app ecosystem, even before AI. I mean, some categories went viral, while others disappeared. So I remember, for instance, the Reface app, which made a boost with its face swap technology even before AI. So technology always reshapes markets. But AI is, I would say, accelerating this process. It's a first, my thought. And second thought, maybe you mentioned also this stuff. It's the appearance of app directories in AI. I mean, we can see specific app section in ChatGPT, for instance, right? So we already see this happening in ChatGPT, in Claude, in Gemini, I guess, where users can access different apps directly inside the AI platform. So this is not exactly a new app store yet. These apps are more like integrations or chatbots inside the AI platform. But my key point is that they already solve certain user needs without requiring people to download a separate mobile app. And this is where the retention challenge becomes very real, I think. For example, take Canva. You know this app, right? I'd say strong mobile app. And today you can already generate many designs through Canva app inside ChatGPT. You can even do this for free. So from a user perspective, the question can be like, why should I launch and open some app and potentially pay for a subscription inside this app if I can get the same result directly inside the ChatGPT, because it's now free for now, but maybe further not. So it's really bothering me, and this shift change the competitive landscape for apps. When ChatGPT implement monetization and some kind of analytics inside it, it will be a real problem for App Store and Google Play, and retention at all. Because users won't probably need specific app inside our mobile phone. So maybe this both challenges my main thoughts here.
That's very interesting. So AI that on one side is helping the business, on the other side, it's also is one of the biggest challenges. That's
they are building like own ecosystems like ChatGPT. Inside ChatGPT, ChatGPT will probably try to cover all main branches, let's say, areas inside it.
Okay, thank you so much. Sam, I'm also really curious to hear your point of view on the topic. What's the biggest challenge for you?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges today is that the industry still optimizes user acquisition mostly for installs. I mean, Most UA campaigns are optimized for things like CPI, install volume, or maybe some short-term metrics like day one activation. But what I want to say that installs don't automatically mean good engaged users. So not all installs are equal. So companies can generate a lot of installs and their growth dashboards look great. But if we look deeper, a big share of those users disappear very quickly. So the retention is not good. And at that point, teams usually start trying to fix retention later in the funnel. They run lifecycle campaigns, they send push notifications for their users, run retargeting campaigns, and so on. And those tools are important. But often we see that the problem actually starts earlier. So if acquisition is focused mainly on scale and cheap installs, you can easily end up attracting users who simply don't have a strong need for the product. So that's my idea. From my point of view, the challenge for the industry today is moving from install-driven growth to value-driven growth, where we can evaluate acquisition not only by volume or by install price, but by the long-term behavior of the users it brings. Yeah.
That's very interesting, and I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
Çağatay, I'm also really curious to hear your point of view and also based on the social data's insights that you can share with us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I am totally agree with Sam, and our data is backed. The issue about the CPI as a filter, CPI and ROAS still are necessary for operational control, but I think you must start treating them as filters for bad traffic rather than your ultimate definition of success. So I think if we are being honest, the industry is currently facing a retention cliff. The single biggest challenge today isn't just getting the installs, it's surviving the first 60 seconds after the app opens. So there are some reasons why long-term engagement has become so difficult in recently. The data shows that non-gaming apps are now competing with directly mobile games for finite attention budget. So users no longer distinguish between utility app and entertainment app. They expect every experience to be interactive, rewarding, and habitually engaging. If your finance or health app, for example, doesn't leverage gaming mechanics like streaks, challenges, and progression systems, you are effectively fighting for attention with one hand behind your back, And the second reason is many teams are struggling to scale because they are stuck with the breaking learning loops. They optimize for short-term, easy-to-measure metrics like CPI or early conversions, but these signals are weak predictors for long-term retention. The challenge is long-term value is that the long-term value is realized late, while acquisition decisions must be early. Without the tight feedback loops between real in-app behavior and creative strategy, growth stalls as soon as spend increases. And lastly, we see a massive drop-off when there is a disconnect between ad creative and product experience. In a creative-driven market, users often click on a high-energy or interactive ads and land in a static, boring onboarding form. So to fix this, leading teams are moving towards adaptive AI-driven onboarding journeys that maintain visuals and functional continuity from the ad to the first session. So the biggest barrier to retention is treating it as a post-land optimization. This year, retention is the product. So sustainable engagement only happens when you treat distribution, monetization, and habit forming mechanics as a single integrated system rather than the isolated functions.
I see. That's very interesting. Thank you so much. Okay, then I have some more specific questions for each of you. The first one, Sam, is for you, so get ready. And so I would love to know why, based on your experience, do some user acquisition strategies lead to stronger retention than others? And what should the marketers focus on to get better long-term results?
Yeah. In my experience, the key difference is user intent. As we all know, I hope everyone agree, different acquisition channels bring users with very different motivations. As been said previously, sometimes people install an app just because they saw an ad in their social feed and got curious. In other cases, the users install it because they are actively looking for a solution. And that difference in intent often has a huge impact on engagement and retention data. In mobile, some of the highest intent discovery moments happen organically, especially in App Store search. And that matters even more when we realize that organic installs already represent a very large share of growth for many apps. I saw, like several years ago, I think, I saw some research from Adjust, where they showed that organic traffic in many categories is around 70% of installs of Android and up to 80 to 90% on iOS. But despite of these facts, organic discovery is often treated almost like a passive channel. In reality, and that's what my experience tells us, in reality, it can be influenced a lot. I'll try to explain. A big part of organic installs actually comes from search inside the app stores. When user searches for a specific type of app, they usually already have a clear use case in mind. And in that situation, visibility becomes extremely important. Most installs go to the apps that appear in the top search results. So the idea is that visibility is what turns the intent into installs. Talking about strategies, marketers should think not only about bringing traffic, but also about making sure the app is visible when users are searching for relevant solutions. What can we do here? How in practice we can build such a strategy? This is, of course, where ASO plays a big role. Optimizing metadata, improving store pages, all these increase the chances of appearing in those searches. Then reputation. So reputation also matters a lot. Ratings and reviews strongly influence both store algorithms and users' decision, users' trust and loyalty. We all know this. There were researchers that tell us that the minimum trust level is about rating 4.2 for the user to take a decision, to make a decision to install this app. But ASO and reputation are not the only things that are important. In competitive markets, there is another factor which I can call a momentum. And some teams use special targeted search-driven acquisition campaigns, special ASO traffic, sometimes it is called, that help apps reach visible positions in search results. So the idea here is not to replace organic growth, but to unlock it. And when the app becomes visible, when the app grows in the search results, the ranking, the position, organic installs can start sustaining that growth. So once again, from my point of view, the strategies that lead to stronger retention are usually the ones that connect the product with users who are already looking for that type of solution. And for marketers, it is very important to think about this and to think about organic discovery uh, as not as a passive channel, but as a thing that can be influenced, the thing that can be uh, uh, optimized, the thing that can really help the apps to grow. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Sam. So for you, the best acquisition strategy, is the strategy that combine pay channels with all the organic discoverability. So have
Yeah,
a good ASO, good ratings, good reviews, and the momentum. Correct?
exactly. Yeah, the good strategy is where all tools are combined, all sources are combined, and there is a balance. I don't think that I don't. I'm not trying to say that organic discovery gives you everything you need to grow, but at the same time, paid channels and paid user acquisition is not a silver bullet for the same reasons. So if you mix them effectively, if you pay attention to both these domains, you will really you really can build a strong acquisition strategy with good retention.
100%. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Moving to a next topic, Freya, I have something for you. So, can you share an example where influencers or community helped increase the engagement, and what made it work long term?
Yeah, amazing. So for a bit of context, my speciality and background comes within TikTok and TikTok creators and influencers. So to explain the story fully, going back 2 years, we started working with an app called Koru or Acne Coach, which was an acne coaching app. And we were doing Google and we were doing app stores, and we were just doing the whole thing. We weren't using TikTok because the barrier to entry seemed really high for us. The cost of creators was really expensive and everything was really unknown. We started to work on it and pin it down and refine it. And I mean, the first challenge you have with working with creators is how to create installs at all. We see many companies that we work with come to us. They're like, we just need to get this to start working. Then what we started to see was working with the right creators with really open briefs and really letting them do their thing allowed us to generate massive amounts of installs. So we were generating per video thousands of installs, virtually free CPIs, so 7 cents or less. And we felt the flywheel start. So this helped our App Store presence and our ASO and generally organically as well. We created like a massive long-term organic traction from this. However, it enabled us to see where our leaky points were, I would say. So we assumed that, if we improve the onboarding flow or if we improve the app store, but actually what we found was you need to improve your point of acquisition and how you acquire those users. So we were seeing, for example, increases of 30 to 40% on the conversion in the App Store to downloading, purely because the advice was coming from a person to person. So especially we work a lot with women's health and wellness. People really need to be trusted. So as we've gone on and we've refined our approach to this, there are things that we've put in place to gear that up for retention, not just this explosive, massive installs, which in comparison to other acquisition channels, when you find the right acquisition channel for you, TikTok, Reddit, it may be something specific for your industry. We found that did increase retention and engagement, but not to the extent that we would like to see it. Something positive we saw from the bat was like a massive spike of reviews because people were genuinely felt connected to the creator and to the process and to the product. But things and like useful tips that you can take from this that we've implemented now long term. So we now work long term with creators. We do short programs to test viability, to find, product market fit within the platform and to generate installs. But going forward from that, we work with creators over and over again. So we create long-term relationships with them. This is because consumers are really able to tell now what's a hashtag ad and what's not. So we like to culture this relationship. We also work with super unexpected creators. So we recently worked with a sleeping health app, and we worked with a creator who slept in his van. Super unexpected, but super aligned because he genuinely had a problem with snoring. It wasn't just a fact of like, hey, you live in your van, and that's super interesting. But you need to really cultivate and find the right community. Speaking of community, something that really we find goes underappreciated is community management. And when I say that, I mean proper intense levels of community management. We've had massive success stories where this has been something that's completely changed the face of people's user acquisition strategy and really reduced the amount of money that they're pumping into paid. So we're talking hours per day, multiple platforms for testing, and not just reactive. So not just replying to comments and DMs and people chatting about you, but actually going out there and building relationships with potential future users. Something that we see specifically works really well is founder-led messaging. So you're a founder, you jump into a platform and you're just really transparent and honest with people, and you try and steer them in the direction of your app if you can. We also work on an always on approach. So constantly having creators talking about the product. This helps from a lifestyle perspective. It's an extra touch point. It helps with, retention, retargeting without having to physically retarget people. We're really open with the briefs that we give creators. So gone are the days where everything has to be on brand. If a creator can hit the brand name properly and hit the few points of value, we're completely happy with that. We find that the more revisions or changes or forceful you are to a creator, the worse the content performs. And then finally, just to leave it on something to think about, is something that we think about a lot at the moment is how do you get people to talk about your app by themselves, like completely organically online? How do you generate the culture and a coolness factor? Or how are you actually presenting yourself as a painkiller that people are willing to share it, not only with word of mouth with their network, but actively on social media as well?
Thank you so much. So basically, in what you said here, I'm seeing a pattern, which is building a relationship through the creator, through the community manager, through the word of mouth with the user base.
Yeah, totally. So community managers are often seen as really junior people inside the company, but these are the tone of voice of your entire team. These are like the culture creators. They're in the trenches essentially. So one really good community manager that I love is a guy called Keith, and he works for Reddit, and he's Reddit's community manager. So if you have some time to Google Keith from Reddit, really, really worth it.
Thank you for the tip. Chatai, I have another question for you now, which is based on social PITA's ad intelligence analysis. What patterns do you see in engagement and retention? And also, how can marketers use those insights to drive more long-term value rather than just installs?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. It's a very good questions. So if we look into our data from 2025, the most successful apps didn't just change their ads. They fundamentally changed where the users first interacts with their brands. So this year, sustainable growth is being driving two massive structural shifts that go far beyond a simple install. So the first one is web to app economic revolution side. So I would like to express it is the one of the most significant structural change we observed in 2025 was the mainstream adoption of the web to app funnels. So web to app funnels restores the first party data, allowing the algorithms to optimize ads in near real time based on actual purchases rather than the probabilistic guesses. So into 2016, if your monetization starts with the App Store, you are in a disadvantages. On the technological side, we are seeing a shift in product-led retention. So apps are moving away from being simple utility tools, towards becoming the AI-driven digital employees. So this year, the focus is on multimodal fusion apps that don't just wait for the user input, but proactively predict needs. So especially we see this in health and fitness apps. For example, some on the finance side, finance apps are now using AI agents to automate the 80% of the manual tasks like tax compliance and cash flow forecasting, etc. This turns your app from sometimes tools into the foundational part of the user's daily workflow. Finally, I think we must fix the static onboarding problem. The data shows that the users now expect short and interactive journeys. AI is being used to adopt the onboarding flow in the real time based on skill level and choices. By creating this continuity between the personalized data and adaptive onboarding flow, you can eliminate the expectation reality gap that kills the retention at the beginning. As a conclusion, we need to stop optimizing for clicks and start optimizing for an entire functional life cycle of the user. And that's all for now. And I can answer other questions that you may have after the first session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So not optimizing for clicks anymore, but to find the real value of the user, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I really liked your point of view about the AI as well. Would love to hear Maxim on this point, but we can do it another chat, because I have another question for Maxim actually. Maxim, from your experience, which ASO technique? Let's go into another angle here. Which ASO techniques do you see working best to bring users who stay, and how should marketers think about prioritizing them?
Nice question, thank you. Well, I think it's important to start with idea that today so it's no longer just about keywords, rankings, and installs. That what you were talking about, Sam. Even in 2023, it was no longer just about that. So basically, to understand the real impact of SO on retention and conversion side, I usually divide SO work in my team in two categories: external SO and internal SO. And external SO, it things like keyword optimization, creative, A/B testing, custom product page integrations, and so on. These elements are really important for acquiring installs, but in reality, they have very limited direct influence on retention inside the app. So you can optimize keywords perfectly. You can improve your CVR from impression to install. But honestly, once the user downloads the app, those elements stop maybe influencing on retention. So in terms of each, external SO actions are quite limited. But despite this, I can recommend some. First of all, we can launch in-app events in the App Store and Google Play. In Google Play, it's called promotional content. And also we can try to get featuring. In-app events in both stores can highlight some value propositions for your old users, and it will be really useful for them, and it will help with retention. For example, a new feature, a limited challenge, some special offer, I don't know. And also you can try to get featuring, editorial featuring. It still remains one of the biggest acquisition channels, because it can give you an incredible boost for your new and old, from your old and new users also, if it's presented the right way, because we have several kind of these featuring sections. So regarding external SO, that's all. And this is where the role of SO specialist has changed globally over the past few years. Because as I mentioned today, SO specialists become kind of project SO specialists because we understand the real impact on impact happens when a user make a purchase in the app. So again, this is probably what Sam mentioned here. Our focus should be from install, maybe not only from install, from the first impression, then to purchase. So that means we need to focus heavily on, SO specialist, any SO specialist should focus heavily on onboarding flows, paywalls, and my push notifications further. We call this work internal SO. It might sound obvious maybe for someone, but in reality, it isn't. Very few people, very few our clients actually do this in practice. I mean, in the flow, this kind of flow, not only once. And last week I reviewed fresh subscription data from Adaptive, and I can share some insights from there. Give me a sec. I have some notes from SO Busters community. So around 90% of trial starts happen on day 0. Then onboarding paywalls with trials converge the best. Soft paywalls outperform hard paywalls by nearly 50%, and in-app paywalls converge about 45% better than web paywalls. This is just a few points, but the key is that the first user session is crucial. Like if user sees the value early and the onboarding and paywall are planned well, he's much more likely starts this trial, convert further, and continue using the app. I agree with Chatai on this point. Today, one of the most effective strategies is to run like continuous A/B testing on onboarding flows and paywalls. It should be like groups of experiments that test different messaging, trial offers, pricing structures, design approaches. So you can see many guys on LinkedIn, and not only who are testing it, who provide this like services. I mean, regarding paywalls and etc. So we have to work on that, and next to bring users back. We shouldn't forget to use push and in-app notifications. Just 2 words about them. Push notifications still one of the most effective tools for bringing users back. But the most effective strategies there is personalization and automation. Again, not just one push or just 2 pushes per month. Yeah, I'd recommend to use specialized platforms like Reteno or OneSignal. I also recommend to launch triggered push notifications based on user behavior. It can be, for example, user inactivity, feature usage, progress in the project. So they can significantly improve retention in the end. So long story short, regarding retention and SO, first of all, focus on in-app events and editorial featuring in app stores. It will touch your old user and improve your retention. And then implement onboarding optimization, paywall strategy with A/B testing, push notifications, many kind of push notifications. At the end of the day, the real goal isn't installs, like we mentioned again here, and this is where the SO strategy starts to pay off, I would say. That's main myself.
Thank you so much for sharing your point of view, Maxim. Fully agree with you, particularly when you said about what you said about re-engagement with the push notification. It can be push notification, it can be retargeting campaigns. There are several options here, but all of them, they have the same goal, not just installs, but long-term engagement.
Yeah. So as you understand, my idea is focus SO efforts on the entire funnel, starting from the moment a user first sees the app. By the way, whether that it can be on not only in the App Store, or it can be on ChatGPT also. So we should think about it when user will see the first time in my app, and then continue through this point to purchase in the end.
100%. Thank you so much. So a lot of good insights here. I hope we have more with the next question, which is for everyone. Okay, so love to hear everyone's point of view because we have different angles on this side. So if you could give one piece of advice to marketers to improve the retention and the long-term value, what would it be? Freya, stage is yours.
Amazing. My main piece of advice would be to grow your community, whether that's on or offline, starting pre-acquisition of any users whatsoever. There's an amazing app called Click that helps build communities. So that's someone that you can, in the UK, for example, where they're based, easily collaborate to help you get offline, because getting offline as an app is not always the easiest thing to be in real life. I would look into things like Reddit. Definitely, if you're not looking into Reddit, look into Reddit. And I would also look into other smaller platforms or niche platforms inside platforms like Substack. I'm obsessed with Substack at the moment and the power that the individuals on there have. And then my final word would be for like optimize for what you need, not for what you want. So you want installs, you want a big growth chart, everything looks amazing, but optimize for whatever it is that you need. So whether that's conversion to subscribers, especially from an ad perspective, and what we're seeing on TikTok is the algorithm is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and you're able to optimize for these further down the funnel actions if you have a proper, solid system set up. And if it works at an install level, but not at a conversion to whatever you need level, you need to keep going.
Got it. Thank you so much. Maxim, you want to go first? You want to go second?
Yeah, I can answer because my answer will be based on my previous answer. Maybe your motto should be stop thinking only about installs and start thinking about user experience inside the app. Because it's really important. We highlighted it here, especially first user experience. Again, onboarding optimization, clear value communication. The user should instantly understand what problem the app solves. So it should be like wow effect, inside the app from the first onboarding steps. Some early engagement triggers such as push notifications, reminders, and personalized actions maybe. So I agree with Freya. I like really idea with regarding community and regarding Reddit. Yeah, 100%. But anyway, yeah, you can ask yourself how quickly does the user reach the first wow moments of value in my app, and the answer will show you how to naturally encourage the user to come back.
Got it. Got it. Sam, what are your thoughts about it? What kind of piece of advice would you give to marketers?
Yeah, nice question. I do really love questions about one best advice. Sometimes, guys, sometimes I feel like we here all are a bit like a wise blind man in that old story describing a different part of an elephant. Maybe you know it. So mobile growth is complex, and every perspective here is just one part of the bigger picture. And but if jokes aside, if I had to give just one piece of advice, it would be this: start thinking about retention earlier, already at the acquisition stage. Very often companies treat acquisition and retention as two separate problems. Acquisition teams focus on installs, and retention is handled later through lifecycle marketing or product improvements, product features. But in reality, those things are closely connected. And when marketers evaluate acquisition strategies, it's useful to ask a simple question. The question is, what kind of users are we actually bringing into the product? And from my point of view, the quality of users starts with the quality of discovery. We all said previously, different discovery moments bring very different types of users. And if you attract users that already have a clear need for the product, retention becomes much easier to build and much easier to maintain. That's it. And a few words, if you don't mind, in the end. If today's talk resonated especially that installs don't equal real users, you should definitely try search-driven growth from our platform, from the tool that we created. It's called the RankForge. And we are giving every webinar participant a €50 bonus to try RankForge for boosting their App Store and Google Play visibility. Just register before March 31st and send a message with the one-word retention in our chat support, and we will add the bonus to your balance. So thank you. I hope this will help not to think about in theory, but to try to do something with your user acquisition practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you so much. Çağatay, now I would love to hear your thoughts about the topic. Which kind of piece of advice would you give to marketers?
Yeah. So I agree with Sam and Maxim on this. We are repeating the same thing or similar thing, but the stop trying is still as the finish line is the most important topic of this webinar. Start optimizing your campaigns based purely on CPI or early conversions. Right now, the biggest threat to long-term users' value isn't channel saturation. It is the broken learning loops. As an industry, we are pouring budgets into short-term, easily measurable metrics that actually do a terrible job of predicting long-term value. So we operate in silos like where acquisition, creative, and product teams are not talking to each other that much. So I think you need to transition to optimizing for early behavior proxies. How can you do that? Like, downgrade CPI to a filter like CPI and ROAS are still necessary for operational control, but you must start treating them strictly as filters to eliminate bad traffic rather than your ultimate definition of success. Secondly, find your proxies, like shift your optimization engine towards identifying the early actions that actually signal long-term retention. This means tracking depth of engagement, specific features, usage, or interaction quality during a user's very first sessions. Lastly, plan your acquisition and re-engagement strategy around the in-app events that correlate with the downstream value, like a user completing a specific challenge, making a first transaction, or hitting a product usage milestone. So you have to close the feedback loop between your marketing signals and your product experience. So that's all on my side. The early user behaviors that prove you delivered the real value on the campaigns, etc.
Thank you so much, Çağatay. Lots of great insights here. Thank you so much for all of you for sharing your thoughts. We have several questions I'm seeing here. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time, so I will recommend to reach out to all the speakers after this panel to ask those questions if we cannot cover them today. I will go with one question here. First one I see in the Q&A. Are there specific acquisition channels that consistently bring in higher retention users today? I think, Çağatay, that's a question for you because you have social petas insight. You can share some social peta insights here.
Yeah. So I think I can recommend like the UA funnels that provide the interactive environments. I need to check my the report on the background. Okay. Okay.
Let's say that.
So what was the question actually at the beginning? I was preparing for another one, like what type of creatives and messages question. The first question, like, can you repeat it for me?
Sure. The question is,
Yeah.
are there specific specific acquisition channels that consistently bring in higher retention users today?
Yeah. I think I will, yeah. So, like, as I mentioned, the interactive funnels, like for playables, like I would like to express the importance of it. On the marketing campaigns, we have a huge increase of the conversion rate on the playables and interactive campaigns. Playables are no longer just for the gaming industry. We saw them expand rapidly in non-gaming industry as well. So whether it's a product for a finance or health and fitness app, the playables allows users to interact with the core product functionally before they download. So it helps the users get the UI simulation before the use of the real product, or can assess the benefit calculator or feature tryout. These are helps users to has marketers to pre-qualify users. So I can recommend the playable site on one hand, and I expressed on the web tab funnels as well. It helps you to get more signals rather than the traditional strategy. That's all for my question. For
Got
this
it.
question.
Thank you so much. And since you also mentioned the other question about creatives, let me ask it to you as well. What types of creatives or messaging have you seen performing better for driving not just installs, but long-term engagement?
Yeah. I was actually using the similar.
I surprised you, huh?
Yeah. It was very surprising for me because, I am checking some reports on the background. I'm also using AI as a agent and employee of myself. So
For
I
our
didn't.
the people that are listening to this panel, by the way, feel free to ping Chatai for all this information and all the
Yeah.
reports that is checking right now.
Yeah, of course. And I can also provide like a demo on our tool and show you what is your competitors are doing in the market on creative strategies, especially. So based on our data, I think there are three type of creatives messaging the winning in the industry and gaming on the gaming and non-gaming side. I already expressed playable ads. It's important type of creative. I think it's going to be more influencer on the market this year. And the second is value-driven product demos. In video ad creatives, highest retaining creatives are hyper-focused on problem solving and immediate function demonstrations. For example, split screen demonstration where an influencer shares an experience on the top half of the screen while the actual app UI is operating on the bottom half are incredibly persuasive. So they prove the app's value and showed how to use it in first few seconds, effectively reducing the cognitive load of the users once they actually open the app. And the third, and most importantly, add the product continuity. The best messaging in the world will not drive attention if there is an expectation reality gap. The highest performing apps ensure absolute continuity in visuals, messaging, and value from the ads directly into the first in-app screens, where users land in familiar flow that replicates the exact experience they interacted with the ad. Onboarding completion and early retention skyrocket. So the creatives driving long-term value today, those are designed to attract users with higher intent. They just don't just sell and install, they teach to users exactly what they should stay. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Atai. I think we have the time for one last question here, and I would like to ask it to Freya. Freya, what's a common mistake you see from your side the companies make when moving from focusing on cheap installs to focusing on user quality?
I think the main mistake or misunderstanding is how long that takes. It's quite quick sometimes, and companies get quite lucky in unlocking paid user acquisition at scale. But when you're looking at focusing on user quality, you're often looking at more organic strategies that really take the time to lay the foundations. So I think there's a kind of a time, an underestimation of the time investment, but also like the physical time investment of what you have to put into it every day, and also the amount of time and investment that it takes to test different strategies along the way, and unfortunately, when you're looking at building something high quality, it takes longer. So it therefore takes longer to get your learning. So, with app installs, we can see on a CPI basis within 24 hours or less if creatives are going to be successful. But when you're looking for long-term user quality, it can take a lot longer than that.
Got it. Completely agree. Sam, would you also like to answer this question as well? Like, based on your experience, what you see the common mistakes company make when moving from focusing on cheap installs to user quality?
Common mistakes, I think. The common mistakes is when they try to connect long-term acquisition metrics, and for example, instead for optimizing for CPI, they start looking at signals like subscription rate, activation quality, and if they not receive results quick, they think that they do something wrong. For example, instead of if they do not receive the desired results, it is because the way they attract users stay exactly the same. So, and that is why, of course, the outcome usually doesn't change much, and they begin to think that something is not good about the product, maybe, and everything else. So, if their teams focus too much on post-install optimization, while the initial discovery moment stays weak, and this is the big mistake, I think. I hope I managed to give you the idea. So the K-shift is not about just changing metrics, but changing how users discover the app in the first place. That's the clear idea.
The famous user intention that you mentioned before, right?
Yeah, these two.
Got it. So I think we covered some very useful points today. We have a couple of minutes. Maybe we have enough time for one very last question. So let me take this one here. From Maxim, this is for you. From an ASO perspective, I'm really curious to know what types of creatives and messaging you've seen performing best for driving not just installs but helping the long-term retention.
Okay, well, I focus more on screenshots, videos, and the icon to help the user immediately understand what the app is about. So that's the main thing probably. It will influence organic growth. And it's about the decision to install again. I'm not really I'm not really focusing on advertising creatives, but I would recommend creating advertising creatives with deep links to the specific parts of the app, specific pages inside the app. So any creatives in both sections, I would say, it should cover some problem, some user problem. It should have like some outcome messaging, clearly show what problem you solve and the result. And onboarding and your functions further, it will like open this wider, right? So it will, but everything beginning from creative. So users should feel some kind of real project experience from your creatives, from organic or creative or ads. So anywhere. And again, don't forget what will users see from the first session. What the clarity will be there. Users should understand what to do immediately inside that. So maybe main points in short words like this.
Thank you so much, Maxim. And we finished today. We ran out of time. So thank you for everyone who attended the panel, for our attendees, for the speakers. It was great to chat with all of you. Thank you for those insights.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, guys.
For questions we couldn't cover, feel free to reach out to our speakers in LinkedIn, via email, or whatever. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice
Thank
week.
you.